We can't say the future without AI. I mean, there's no way around it. 50% of workers now believe AI is going to improve their experience. When I come into the meeting room, I need a way to incorporate my AI with what's going on in the meeting. It's almost a bring your own AI type of a concept. Most of what we do in our day-to-day is going to change significantly.
Hear the latest AV trends and predictions in this episode of Crestron's Smarter Spaces podcast on your preferred podcast platform.
I think that's the problem we've all sat through these AI panels and the keynotes and everything else, and you never walk away with anything tangible. It's just the fact that we all need to get on board with AI, but it's like I always leave there not being clear what I'm actually supposed to do. So I feel like that's something we still haven't solved for. There's nothing tangible here. It's just people telling us that AI is the future and to get on board.
Did you know that disco record sales were up 400% for the year ending 1976? If these trends continue, hey!
Your fish are dead.
Yeah, I know. I can't get them out of there.
Pushing integrators and AV users to embrace AI. QSys touts their full stack power and what it means to put all your eggs in one basket. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 718, recorded Friday, May 23rd, 2025. Keeping up with AI. This is AV Week, your source for the latest stories shaping the world of AV. My name is Tim Albright, your host. Here's what's making headlines this week in Pro AV. Sonance acquires Blaze Audio. We begin with the merger and acquisition news. Sonance has officially acquired Blaze Audio, a Denmark-based pro audio manufacturer known for its commercial amplifier solutions. The move signals Sonance's deepening commitment to the professional audio space, complementing its residential legacy with scalable, global, commercial offerings. With Blaze's engineering now in the fold, Sonance is positioned to bring new amplifier solutions to the market. Google changes Starline's name to Beam and unveils it to the world. They are trying to change how we think about virtual presence. At Google I/O, they unveiled quote-unquote Project Beam, a follow-up to the once-hyped Project Starline. Beam promises 3D video calling using off-the-shelf depth sensors and AI to create a lifelike experience. And yes, Google says the version is cheaper, smaller, and heading to office environments soon in partnership with HP. For AV integrators and IT managers designing hybrid spaces, this could shake up how we define telepresence moving forward. Also for IT directors, you may be getting a new request from the C-suite. Voice control and AI continue their march into everyday environments. Samsung recently partnered with Burger King in a proof-of-concept pilot showcasing their Bixby-powered voice AI in digital signage. The demo allowed customers to interact with menu boards using voice commands in real time. Now, while this is still experimental, the implications for quick service restaurants, retail, and other customer-facing verticals are big and getting smarter, even maybe weirder. We'll have to see about that. Over in the Pro Audio corner, Sennheiser just announced a firmware update enabling 32-bit float recording across several of its wireless systems. Great news for content creators and tech managers alike. Also introduced the Profile Wireless Set single-channel wireless mic kit. That's a single-channel version of their two-channel Profile set. This system is designed with creators and podcasters in mind. It's also another nod to the evolving convergence of broadcast, AV, and creator tools. And finally, AVIXA has announced that Noelle Russell will keynote this year's Women's Breakfast at InfoComm 2025. Russell is an AI expert and advocate for diversity in tech. She brings experience from Accenture, Microsoft, and the Alexa team at Amazon. The AVIXA Women's Breakfast is on Thursday, June 12th at 7:30 in the Valencia Ballroom. Now, you do need to be registered for the event to attend. That's a quick look at what's happening across the AV landscape this week. Stick around. Coming up is our roundtable discussion where we'll dig into AI and AV, full stack AV, and more. This is AV Week. Welcome back. Now we bring in our fantastic roundtable with us to discuss the news and information we have got this week. First and foremost, Misty Chalk from Bright Sign. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Also with us, a very dear friend, Mr. Brock McGinnis from Nationwide. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Tim. Always great to be here.
Yes. And a young man I get to hang out with yet again for the 15th time this year, Mr. Craig Derr from Collab Collective. How are you, sir?
I appreciate you calling me young man. We'll just say it's because that hair dye is working well right now. Thank
You're
you.
younger than me. Come on.
No, we went through this last time, but we're not going to air it.
Did we?
We're not going to air it. We're not going to air it
All right.
again. So.
Fine. The first story we got. QSys has expanded into a quote-unquote full-stack AV platform. They're aiming to be the full-stack AV platform in a move that feels like a strategic repositioning. They are now offering everything from audio and video processing control endpoints and cloud management. This positions them as a one-stop ecosystem, especially attractive to some integrators and certain IT teams looking to standardize across campuses or enterprise spaces. The shift also mirrors a broader industry trend in the AV industry: convergence and collaboration and consolidation, and possibly the push for interoperability within a single vendor's ecosystem. That part I've got a couple issues with, and we'll talk about that in a second. Brock, we're going to start with you on this. There are several ways to go about this. The phrase I'm going to use is putting all your eggs in one basket. QSys says full stack. What does this look like when it comes to working with IT and AV users when it comes to putting in a solution that is a full stack solution and depending on one company and one vendor?
I think from an integrator's perspective, it's really handy, Tim.
Okay.
You're writing one purchase order. You're dealing in one programming language. You have that proverbial one throat to choke, and it's great if each of those components is appropriately cost effective, appropriately powerful for the job that you want it to do. And I don't look at what QSys is announcing now really as anything new. I think they've been doing this for a long time. I believe they may have some new marketing input, and they're starting to phrase this as full stack because that's what IT users would like to hear. Generally, it's a great idea if it works.
So I have a question from a vendor's perspective, because if you go back to COVID and the whole supply chain shortage and chip shortage and everything else, the biggest thing we got from our consumers was that they wanted diversity. They didn't want just a single vendor anymore, right? They need to have more flexibility. So I'm just curious how we got from there back to a single vendor. So from a reseller's perspective, I'm just curious, what are we actually solving for by a single vendor? What's driving that? Which I know why a vendor would do it. I mean, we all know why a vendor would do it. But from a consumer or a reseller's perspective, what is actually driving that change backwards to a not diversifying anymore, but a single vendor?
So I think that our customers, or a certain subset of our customers, particularly in the IT world, love having one name. We're a Poly house. And everything's Poly, or we're a Cisco house and everything's Cisco. We're a QSys house and everything's QSys. And so they get to have that single pane of glass that monitors everything. They get to learn one set of code. They become an important customer because they're bundling all of their purchases with one manufacturer. So they get invited to the dinners, they get all the update notices direct. You smile, Misty, but
I love the dinner invites. Don't get me wrong.
When I think about how customers think, because we're asked as an integrator all the time, well, yeah, can you give us that? But we'd like Jabra cameras because we really like Jabra, or some other brand. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but I do find as consumers that it's kind of natural behavior, and they don't remember 3 years ago.
There's a part where, for me, I want to take a step back. It was actually at Infocom last year that Joe Fan stood on stage at their keynote that they were doing at Infocom and used that term full stack AV. And then we're seeing what took place at their Activate event, which was the online launch event of this product that they talked about and updated here. And you're right. I think what they were doing is they were shoring up some existing parts of their portfolio. They did their core, which is our hardware elements as well too. They released some features around Vision Suite, which I personally love, which is the automated intelligent camera room systems. They updated Reflex, which is their management platform, and then they did something with designer software. So I think they level set a lot of this stuff into being equally important and equally weighted, where cleaning up the portfolio is probably too limiting of a phrase. So I think it's value brought there. One of the interesting things, going back to this conversation Misty, you and Brock are having about a single source of truth, what they're doing, don't lose sight that they're also part of a larger company now called Acuity. And Acuity leans into building management systems, or BMS. So for certain enterprises that can start having fully integrated insights into their building and leverage what's taking place in their conference room eventually, that's part of the vision I think they were selling too. And again, you have the debate, one throat to choke or not, but if I'm already looking at Acuity's, I forget the name of their platform, how I'm managing my light, my energies, and my efficiency, and I can then pull in some data that I have from my conference rooms and my usage and things like that, there's consolidated value for certain customers.
My whole existence within digital signage is about our ecosystem, right? It's important to us, all the various partners, because we recognize that we can't do all things. You just can't. You excel at certain things, and understanding and realizing your own limitations is important. But I feel like what's actually driving that then is really, and listening to both what Brock and Craig have said, like, it's the management, right? That's what they want. Consistency is in the management of all their devices, but there's so many different opportunities and ways to do that where you don't have to go with a single vendor. So I just feel like that's actually what people are solving for, is the management of all of their devices, which I think is where this is going. Just my personal opinion.
I'm going to hit on that for a second, Misty, but first, Craig, you said something there about Acuity. How much do you think of this level set, let's call it, right? Because you're right, Joe did kind of set the stage, no pun intended, last year at Infocom talking about full stack, and then the announcement last fall, right? So that speech, that talk that Joe Pham gave was ahead of that. Now, none of us know how long those talks were in happening. Joe could have been in the middle of those talks already, or they could have started in July. Who knows, right? And I don't know that any of us will ever know. But then the acquisition did happen, and you're right. Acuity is, if nothing else, is a full building management system, whether it's lighting, shades, energy consumption. How much of that acquisition do you think drove this level set?
This statement,
Yeah.
their positioning. I think they were already working on it, if you ask me. I think it was part of their value that they probably positioned themselves to Acuity as a potential acquiree of Acuity, acquirer. Get my acronym, my whatever. This isn't an English podcast.
It is not,
this
thank
because me don't speak well sometimes. Okay, I want to make sure. Okay. I think it was something they're already working on. And again, like I said, so I'm looking at the press release right now because what they announced that with their Activate event, which was the products. These are existing products they had, but I think it was getting them to where they performed in this new environment where people want to have a lot more information flow from device to management to cloud that might connect somewhere else. And I think they really shored up a lot of that. And if I look across the board at other competitive sets, I'm not sure other products can say they do that as well yet. Crestron does a lot of device management. XIO is a great tool for within the Crestron ecosystems. I'm not sure what it's like sharing data outside of that for other areas as well too. I'm not sure to what level QSys in their designer software or the QSC, QSys here, the QSys brand. What new data they're pulling up from Reflex. Everyone's talking about environmental centers. Like my video devices can tell me what the carbon dioxide levels are in my room and things like that too. It's a direction the market's going. People are looking for more visibility, I think, in a vertical stack. I don't know. I feel like I'd love to hear what Brock and Misty have to say in response to that.
Well, I am going to ask that for both of them, because the one thing that Misty brought up, the management side, and Craig, you mentioned XIO Cloud. There are, if there's a control platform out there, they have a management platform, right? Just kind of period, into sentence. I'm certain that there's one or two that don't, but they also all have APIs to get into other management platforms. One that I've been kind of watching here recently is ServiceNow. ServiceNow is not an unknown entity. ServiceNow is in darn near every Fortune 500, and every Fortune 500 IT department has some sort of instance. So they're looking from an IT department. Again, this is some of the stuff that I'm seeing, pulling in other people's APIs to give it to them, the information on ServiceNow or another one pane of glass, to use another overly used term. Brock, Misty, are you seeing that? Or are you seeing them stick with strictly the AV management sides?
I think they're coming at this as somebody who's chasing the tail of the industry, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
The management platform, I mean, the killer app is unified communications. And it's Cisco's glass, or it's Logitech's glass, or it's HP Poly's glass. And so QSYS is our hardware endpoints for rooms. They're providing audio and video that supports whatever the Teams or Zoom is doing, and that's that's kind of the weak point in this full stack, is that they're not providing unified communication. Whereas Crestron, of course, has their Flex system, and their Flex system ties into their control product and their monitoring product, and their audio products, although they don't have the depth of DSP resources that QSYS has, but they're, to me, way ahead in that space, in that stack space, supporting what the enterprise really cares about, which is UC.
All right. Misty?
I'm looking at it from a different perspective, obviously, because I'm in a little bit of a different world. But I do think that, I see the benefit of a company like ServiceNow, because again, what I see from my perspective is what consumers are looking for is that unified management of all of their connected devices. That's the problem that they're solving for, which is why you see different coalitions coming out with the open APIs over cloud and over AI and all of that, is because what are we trying to do? We're trying to manage conference rooms and all the things that are in there that are connected and within a single platform. So again, I'm not looking at it from I don't look at it from the full stack perspective of whether or not I should go with one vendor. I think that depends on the end user. It depends on the consumer. It depends on what size company I'm at. Like if I'm a smaller company, I think it totally makes sense. But it's not a one size fits all. I think that what we're actually solving for, though, and I said this earlier, is actually how do we manage all these connected devices? Every single thing in our building now is connected, and how do you do that? So you're going to see more and more coalitions coming out that are embracing this open AI technology, so that you can bring in all these APIs and you can manage that and leverage it however you choose, whether that's through a cloud platform or an AI platform or whatever that is. That's really, I feel like, what people are solving for, is they want real-time information about how their equipment is performing, what is the health of the performance of their system. Like all of this data and analytics is, you're not going to get away from it. It's what people feel that they want, they feel like they need. And I think that's where you see companies like ServiceNow that are, and more than just them, that are emerging in this space, because I think that's truly what we're solving for.
All righty. Next story. Byron Terry has created Next Now. It is a movement that he is unveiling at InfoComm 2025, and I'll explain what I meant by that by pause in a second. Terry is formerly of GPA. He is launching something, quite frankly, bigger than a product. According to the press release, it is a mind shift. Next Now is debuting at InfoComm 2025, sort of kind of. It is a call for the AV industry to evolve its value proposition in an AI era. Now, here's the pause. Full disclosure, I was a part of the initial think tank at ISE, as was Steve Durkee from BrightSign. It was a great experience. It was an all-day event, and really smart people, and then me, was in that room. And I learned an awful lot sitting around there. And in the last 3 or 4 months, that team, the NextNow team, has really kind of come together and demonstrated this call to action where, they're looking to, quite frankly, push the industry. Not just manufacturers, and there were manufacturers in that room, but designers and integrators seeing how they can use AI in different areas. Terry's message to the industry is, quote unquote, integrators must move from transactional AV to strategic partnerships, something we've talked about here once or twice. And quite frankly, he's looking to facilitate a rapid tech change beyond just spreadsheets and Word docs. Misty, I'm going to start with you for no other reason because, like I mentioned, Steve was in that room with me at the end.
I wasn't.
I didn't say you were, but it's a connection, right? And BrightSign
Right.
is
I guess I should have
leveraging
talked
AI.
to Steve before this podcast.
Well, but you guys are doing AI, right? You're leveraging AI in a couple of your different platforms. So where do you see either the industry as a whole, whether that's competitive manufacturers, partner manufacturers, or the integrators themselves digging into AI for their business or for their product?
My gosh, it's everywhere. And I would venture to say that since your think tank in January or February, whenever that was, it's completely different now. Like what you could do then in February versus what you can do now, it changes every 3 weeks, it feels like, which I think is the hardest part of AI is how do you keep up on it? And I feel like we always ask these open-ended questions that never really get answered because it's like, how are people using it? How should they use it? Like that's the problem with AI is like I guess you're only limited by your imagination or your prompts because it is endless. So how we use it at BrightSign, we use it in lots of different ways. I think how it's going to influence digital signage, we've already seen that. We've already seen it with the data and the analytics, which is something that's super trending. I think everybody across all of AV is talking about experiences, right? And the experiential side of what we do, because that's what it is now. That's what's driving innovation in business now is the experience side of it. And AI can play a big role in that because prior to that, you'd have to have somebody with a specific skill set. But now even I can go in and do a prompt and I can create content and I can do programming and do all sorts of things. But I feel like this conversation is interesting to me because it always just feels so open-ended.
Do you think that's because of the evolutionary nature of this technology? Like, I think you're right where, what's happened since February up until now, several iterations of various LLMs, several iterations of different platforms. Do you think it's the fact that it just keeps evolving and so there's nothing to stick a flag in and say, oh, this is AI now, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's a combination. I think that's part of it. Is it's like I thought I had a handle on some things. I started using it for my email and doing some PowerPoints, and I thought I was really doing something. And it's like, and it just keeps evolving. And it's like it feels like you can never catch up. And it seems like we don't do a good enough job of really educating people on how to get started and how to use it. Like people, it's just overwhelming, and it just keeps snowballing. And so it's like you don't ever feel like you really fully have a handle on it. And so, I mean, even like I said, we've got some things going on with our product with AI with an MPU. So we open it up for our partners in order for them to leverage AI. And even since we announced this in February, it's completely different. And it's May.
Yeah.
So I do feel like that's part of it. Yes.
All right. Craig, where do you see, the AI and AV conversation? I'm not even going to give you the next year, but the next 6 months. Right to the end of the year, because Misty's right. It's drastically evolved since this ISE think tank.
It's a sticky wicket here, right? When one of the adjacent industries that I look at also is contact center, customer experience, and where AI is working there is what I call boring use cases. It's boring stuff like time to resolution. It's time to getting an answer on a phone call, time to completion of a task right now. I don't know where it is, but I would love to see that's where it moves to in the pro AV side of the industry as well too. Because once you get those proof points, those like Misty's saying, that I see that it's working. It's not just hype, and it's something that's delivering some interesting value, although it might be a boring small use case. I think it's helpful. Video manufacturers, video conferencing manufacturers have leaned into intelligent video and audio. Calling now, some people say that maybe there's a branding exercise going from intelligent to AI in the last 24 months, just rebranding it, kind of the marketing exercise. But those are use cases that actually apply. It's a tough question. I would love to see AI take place in an experience like video conferencing, and start becoming more intuitive and adjusting to my individual use cases where I am in the room. Right now, everything's algorithmic. It's firmware, update it, push down to the device. It's got some great, powerful learnings that were driven by AI. I'd love to see that take place almost real time, near term.
Yeah, I think I don't think you'll have long to wait for that. Let me just put it that way. I don't know anything. I'm just, again, reading tea leaves and seeing what's happened in the last 4 or 5 months. Brock, from an integrator standpoint, number one, what do you want out of AI? And nothing is a fine answer. But what also are you seeing coming down the pipeline from manufacturers?
We're machine dependent and software dependent, right? In pretty much everything that we do. The machines are getting better, and they're going to get less expensive because AI is going to impact the product development and manufacturing, and that's, to me, that's exactly the realm that it should live in. It's machine versus machine, and an improvement on that level. So if a camera can focus in on me better, if a microphone can enhance my voice better, if the environment that I'm in can be modified through intelligent learning, because AI is based on data sets. The more data that it collects, the smarter it's going to get, and the more that it likes how we like things, the more it's going to make things likable. But in the end, we're in a people-to-people business. What the audiovisual industry does is enhances communication, right? We equip people and spaces to entertain, to educate, to communicate. And AI isn't going to, it's going to impact the machines, but it's not going to impact the human element of that. And I have no idea what NXT is about. I couldn't get from any of the information where exactly Byron is thinking that the industry should be better or could benefit from an increased focus on AI. Our focus is I think still going to be people, and then better equipment that will better enable people to connect.
Well, you're never going to get rid of the people because AI lies.
And AI
You're only as good as your prompt.
AI makes big mistakes.
They do.
It takes you 5 minutes to figure that out, and I'm getting AI Google searches now on subjects that I know a fair bit about, that are just complete and utter nonsense, right?
You know what the funny thing is about this is, in the beginning, whoever the technologists were that created it, they wanted to kind of soften that. So what did they say? Well, the AI is hallucinating. It's just having a bad day. It's not working. They didn't say what you're saying, Brock, which is it's wrong. It's just call it.
It's accessing the wrong data points, right?
Yep.
And so, the AI advocate would say, you didn't instruct it properly. Give it better instructions so that it accesses better data, or the right data. By the time I do that, I can find the answer myself. Thank you very much.
Oh goodness, I am I am slightly more bullish than Brock, but I do have a fair amount of lying, hallucinating, or just being dead wrong, however you want to put that. So.
Well, there is a survey out there. Y'all should look it up. And it talks about whether or not you're nice in your prompt. Like if you're kind in your prompt to AI, you get a different response than if you're not. It actually matters. So say please and thank you.
I'm from the Midwest, dude. I say please and thank you to everything, including my AI. I'm just going to point that out there. I don't care how many millions it costs ChatGPT. So, all right.
It'll be interesting, Tim, to see how this evolves.
Yeah.
I am looking forward. Mr. Terry's a very bright person and accesses some great resources within the industry, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting to be led down a path that I think has an improvement at the end of it.
I think that's the problem. We've all sat through these AI panels and the keynotes and everything else, and you never walk away with anything tangible. It's just the fact that we all need to get on board with AI. But it's like I always leave there not being clear what I'm actually supposed to do. So I feel like that's something we still haven't solved for. There's nothing tangible here. It's just people telling us that AI is the future and to get on board.
So I'm going to pull something from an interview I did with Joe Pham a year and a half ago, because I'm with you. I was with you, Misty, because Joe has been. I mean, I would not be surprised if Joe Pham's been working with AI for 10 years, right? He's just one of those types of plugged-in people. I said, okay, you've said some really cool things. You're saying we need to get on board. How do I do that, right? I don't know exactly, and maybe Mitchell can pull the clip. And he said, just start. Now, I understand the simplicity of that, and
We're past the just start, though. We're past using it as a search engine or to write your emails.
Yes, we are. But if you haven't started, then that is the first step, right? Is to, I don't care which one you choose, whether that gives you hallucinations like Brock or not, or it's wrong or whatever. And Brock's right. You can't help but just start, because if you're using Google for a search engine or Bing, you're already going to have AI results, right? So that is an entry point of sorts. But just go on ChatGPT and type in, I don't know, give me a recipe for strawberry shortcake or something, and see what kind of weird things it comes up with. So
I want the next step, I guess. I've started. Now what?
Now what? Well, that's a fair question, right?
I do it for research all the time. Now what?
Now what?
Well, yes, this probably comes back to your original question, Tim. What should we expect as the outcome from this next organization?
Yeah.
It sounds like, even as we talk about it, that we are trying to find out what the tangible, meaningful path is going forward. What are the next steps to make it of value to me or my company or my customers?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of that. It's like I said, my point of view is I think if we keep solving small, boring AI situations, I think that's great. I think shavings make a pile. And if it can make my distributors, my integrators, my customers all perform better, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Thank you all so much. Misty Chalk from BrightSign. Thank you, ma'am. How do people connect with you or BrightSign?
We're going to be at InfoComm at booth 1100, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
All righty, very good. Mr. McGinnis, always good to see you, sir.
I am at nationwideav.com. I am on LinkedIn, and every 6 weeks or so I seem to be here.
You do, and I appreciate it.
Just keep tuning in.
Like magic. Mr. Durr, I appreciate your time, sir. How do people connect with you, and how do they see you? Because you're all over the place at InfoComm.
I am all over. Well, fortunate. I have a couple of panels. I'll plug those if I can at InfoComm. Yep. We're going to do one where we're trying to demystify multi-camera use cases in high-impact rooms. And the other one we're going to be talking about, you ready for it? AI throughout the office.
Shocked I am.
But that's a great panel. I have Microsoft, I'll have Zoom, I'll have WebEx, I'll even have QSC on that panel as well, too. All trying to talk about and maybe answer some of these questions that we posed here.
All right, very good. For Tim Albright, don't follow me anywhere. If you're interested in what I write that has nothing to do with AV, you can follow me on LinkedIn. If you don't, then that's fine too. But go by the website, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others. Mitchell has been very hard at work this week. We've got a brand new Ed Tech where host Aaron May Moran discusses facilities versus AV management, which was a fascinating discussion and argument, I guess. E-commerce, and then quite frankly, preparing for InfoComm 2025. Speaking of the big show, the 11th through the 13th of June, we've already started our previews. AVNation is going. You can find all of our coverage at avnation.tv/IC25. You can also register for our event, AVNation Access, which is the 11th of June, that Wednesday, from 4 to 6 o'clock. So you can check all that out and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. As all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hello, this is Steve Greenblatt, host of AVNation's A State of Control podcast. Each month, Rich Fregosa and I explore trending topics related to control, programming, and automation in the audiovisual industry. We speak with a variety of AV professionals who share their perspectives, knowledge, and experiences. Please join us for this monthly conversation. Check out A State of Control on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.